Good evening, everyone. I'd like to extend greetings to my family, my friends, my fellow students, my professors, and all who surrounded me in this educational journey that culminates this evening here in Denver. I thank you for your encouragement, your support, and also for the push I needed at times to keep my momentum going as I pursued my bachelor's degree in marketing. Lao Tzu stated, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." In many ways, and I'm sure many of my fellow graduates can attest, this journey seems to have far exceeded 1,000 miles. First, I was a full-time student, fresh out of high school with really no interest in pursuing a higher education. After a bit of running around, or playing around as the case may be, I eventually scraped together enough credit hours to receive an associate's degree, all while beginning a career. Life was good. Next came a wife and a family. Over the years, I've been able to see my kids grow, and I've been able to share in their excitement as they explored what life had to offer. I witnessed my wife's excitement as she took her own steps to pursue her dreams in the mental health field. Life was still good. Over 25 years after I earned that associate's degree, I found myself coming full circle, once again taking a step, albeit a digital one, onto a college campus. I was certainly nervous, but excited at the same time. Could I do this? Did I have the time, the energy, or even the desire? The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu was correct. It was that one small step that propelled me on a path that I never expected to be on. Since I started this journey at CSU Global, I've learned a number of things, but the one I appreciate the most is learning more about who I am as a leader. Leadership can be without boundaries and isn't dictated by a title or a location. My time at CSU Global provided me with several tools that helped me build confidence in myself as I learned this. I learned that time was a big hurdle for me to overcome. Did I have enough time to complete a class? Could I commit to the suggested 15 to 20 hours per week given my travel requirements for work? Realistically, if I'm being honest, what would I have to give up? Once I started my classes, I had to reconsider that perhaps it wasn't necessarily a lack of time, but rather a lack of time management. Dave Crenshaw refers to time management as a science, and just like any other discipline, it is something that can be learned and applied. For instance, instead of an evening watching television, I could read scholarly articles while listening to ambient music through an earbud. Instead of a long motorcycle ride, I could take a shorter ride to the nearest Starbucks and enjoy a cup of coffee while I started a research paper. Indeed, I think I had stumbled onto something. While these may seem like very easy and plausible alternatives, the reality was that I had to make time to plan my weekly schedule to ensure that I accomplished all that I both needed to do and wanted to do. It wasn't a matter of giving things up. It was a matter of adjusting and incorporating something new into my life. The exercises using Google Calendar were a breath of fresh air, and while I know I'm not yet using my calendar to its fullest extent, I can at least quickly glance at my color-coded calendar and see very easily what I should be doing or where I should be at any given time. I learned about leadership traits and that my top two were focus and speed. While neither finding was terribly surprising, being able to see how the drivers apply to my career was interesting. For instance, with my clients, I find that I'm continually trying to redirect our meetings so that we're able to maximize our time together and not run off on tangents. While it has become second nature for me to do so, Cass's study made me wonder if this was a learned behavior or an underlying personal trait of mine. Similarly, time is of the essence of my job. While there is never a lack of tasks to do, time is usually a dwindling commodity. I find that I tend to take advantage of any spare moments that I can find at work to address an issue, even if that means having to take a quick break from a meeting in order to obtain the answer to a pertinent question from my client. I learned that regardless of whether I'm a formal or informal leader, I influence others on a regular basis, whether that is a coworker, a subordinate, or a family member. The ability of influence is not limited by titles or status, but rather the simple ability to impact others' attitudes, opinions, or beliefs. I learned about the different bases of power and how each is prevalent in my life. For example, I can hold expert power based upon my knowledge and experience. At the same time, I hold legitimate power based upon my position and title at work. Neither one is fighting for dominance, but rather they are complementary to each other. I learned that out of the three major leadership styles, my particular style tends to be more democratic in nature in that I encourage others to think independently and creatively, and I seek their input and contribution with decisions. That is not to say that I'm not confident in my decision-making skills, but I recognize that everyone is unique and may have different or even better ideas than I do. I learned that the key identifiers of democratic leadership include trust, empowerment, communication, encouragement, and respect, all of which I strive to develop while leading others. I learned that how I influence is just as important, if not more, than who I influence. Every time I lead, I must make sure my influence is tempered with ethics. Otherwise, all I'm doing is manipulating others to get what I want. Am I setting a good example and showing integrity in everything I do? Or am I creating an environment where my actions or words are called into question? The ramification of unethical leadership is astounding. Regardless of the setting, whether it is my career or my family, if I fail to demonstrate integrity, relationships and trust are shattered. In conclusion, I've learned that while leadership is more often than not used in an employment connotation, I've attempted to bridge the ideas and concepts into all aspects of my life. Leadership is not where I'm at, but rather who I am. If I remember the principles and temper them with my particular style and brand, I will succeed as a husband, a father, a student, and an employee. That one small, timid, digital step at CSU Global set me on a new course, one where the future is broad and exciting, and life will still be good. Thank you and congratulations.